So just as a heads up, I'm going to pre-frame this so you guys know what's going on. I'm about to jump on another live call with one of the clients in my Agency in a Box program. Jordan Hallam booked another solar company. So I'm going to jump on right now. We're going to live close this deal. This deal was pre-qualified through the process in my Agency in a Box. I've never met with this client before, never talked to this client before. So this is always a really fun time. So I'm going to start the call. You guys won't be able to see my screen, but you will be able to hear the client. Let me move you a little closer. But you will be able to hear the conversation. So that's what I'm giving you guys on here. If you guys want to be mentored by me, I put a link in the description. You can click that whenever. If times are blocked out, then you have to just keep checking back. It's only on a rolling 4 days. If my times are blocked up because they fill up fast and they're filled up. All right, so let me pull this call up and let's get started. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing, Jordan?
Not too bad. Looks like you're showing us up wearing a polo neck today.
This is one of my company shirts. I have an appointment after this.
Okay. No worries. Well, you may notice someone slightly better looking than me is in the lobby as well today. His name's Rob. He's my head of fulfillment.
I thought you were talking about me, Tim. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
yikes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Mark. So yeah, I'm excited to get the ball rolling here. So as Jordan said, I handle everything on the back end for him. He did brief me a little bit on this call, so we, already have quite a bit covered. Is it okay with you that I just kind of recap that to make sure we're on the same page?
Yes, 100%.
Cool, awesome. So as I was looking at this, our main point here is that, so you guys have taken 5,000 calls right now a month. Is that right?
No.
Previously?
5,000 today.
Okay. Let me see here. Oh, but you did watch the VSL previously. Our video sales letter, kind of the recap of the call?
Yes.
Awesome. So what were your thoughts on that?
Wait a second. The video recap of the call. So you're saying a sample call between your qualifying folks and one of our potential customers.
Sorry, so what I meant is that video you saw prior to this call that Jordan
Yes.
sent.
The video on LinkedIn.
Yes, I did watch that.
Awesome.
I thought, well, as I said to Jordan in our last meeting, I thought that was good. He brought up several points that kind of raised my interest. I like the fact that you guys are focusing on quality rather than quantity. I like the fact that you are taking an individual approach rather than saying, hey, we're a big marketing company, come pay us lots of money and we'll just roll out the same solution that we've rolled out for the last 10 clients. Those were things that appealed to me.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, so a little background. I've seen that in the past where it was just all about generating the leads. So it didn't really work out well. So we wanted to make sure that we could take it one step further. So I appreciate that you like that piece of it. What are you hoping to gain out of this call today?
Well, in Jordan and I's first meeting, we talked a lot about what I was looking for, what I was hoping to accomplish. He spoke a good amount of what you do that may be unique or different, or just your approach. We kind of got a sense of who we were and one another. And we left that call knowing that we need to do some more investigation. So this is really a discovery call, trying to understand more specifically what you can do for me, and I suppose what I'd like to accomplish by working with a professional marketing organization instead of simply stumbling around doing my own thing.
Okay, awesome. Easy enough. So if you hear me typing, Mark, throughout this, I'm just taking notes just so we can reference them later.
Please, I'm taking notes too, but I'm doing it old school.
Okay.
I know my keyboard is desperately loud when I'm on a computer, so I'm just going to write down.
Okay, awesome.
Well, I appreciate that.
And last thing, this call is just being recorded for quality and training purposes, just to give you a heads up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so keep the profanity to a minimum. No, I'm kidding, but
I'm not going to say that.
great. So kind of walk us through in the past what's been working for you. Actually before we ask that question, because it is too broad of a question, Before you already discussed how you like better that we're trying to qualify the lead. So I guess what I want to understand is what do you consider to be a qualified lead that appeals to you?
So, to answer that, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory leading up to where we are.
Okay.
I worked for a large national company, and their MO was to have a partnership with a big retail organization. They had a separate team that were literally marketing inside of those retail locations. They had developed tools that would allow them to have that conversation, get an expressed interest, qualify the lead the best they could, set an appointment on my calendar, and I would simply open up my calendar and respond to those appointments and go travel to the leads. At one point, the regional director for that company said, if you do not appear to an appointment, you are fired. And she wasn't speaking to me, she was speaking to us. But what would happen is, I would try my very best to connect either by telephone or by text or even by email to just confirm, that these appointments were still good. Hey, we're looking forward to meeting with you and all that stuff. And I'd get about a 20% response rate. And I would get 30 to 50, depending on the season, no show at the door. So I did a tremendous amount of driving around to end up meeting with people who really weren't there. They had maybe said yes in the store to this individual out of a feeling of obligation or guilt. And then I was going out to have what I thought would be a productive meeting, and the person in the store was just so happy that somebody was paying attention to them. They went ahead and excitedly booked the meeting, and the person was like, yeah, that'll be fine. Or the person is disorganized and just didn't keep good notes. That happened all the time. I'd finally reach out to that person and say, oh yeah, sorry, I had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, no, I'm just sitting around with my thumb up my ass, so thanks for coming out. Once I structured my own company, we went beyond the number of leads that I could manage individually. I found myself doing two things. One, I'm either generating and processing leads, processing being the process of confirming that they're valid and qualifying them as individuals. I'm either doing that, or I'm out in the field sitting with people following up on those leads and actually presenting to them, which is my value proposition of the organization. I'm a presenter. I speak to people in their homes. I give them a sense of ease. I'm an old fat white guy, so they love me. They see me coming in and they're like, hey, this guy looks professional. I hope that's what they feel. And after speaking with me, I try to give them a sense of comfort. So if I'm doing that well, I'm running morning, afternoon, and evening appointments every day I can get them. And then I end up stacking up days of unmanaged leads that have been either coming in through purchasing leads, marketing efforts, whatever. So finally, I hired somebody to kind of fill that role of our old marketing teams who used to sit in stores in this big company. Their job is to see the leads rolling in directly from our marketing efforts, call those people, have a conversation expressing their appreciation for the expression of interest. And at this point, they're just starting to get to a place where they're doing a very good job of qualifying those leads. A qualified lead is somebody who actually owns their home, who actually wants to make solar energy instead of purchasing all of their power from a monopolistic energy company that just wants to screw them every chance they get. And who is sincerely able to finance the system. And that's the trickiest one to get into, because I don't want people to think we're all about money. But I do want them to know that most people don't look at their energy bill in terms of decades. They look at it month to month, and so most people prefer to replace that monthly electric bill with a very affordable monthly solar payment. It's usually lower. And in order to qualify to do that, they usually work with a lender. The lenders require a 650 credit score or higher. Is that something that you see as a barrier? That is entirely the process of qualifying the lead.
Awesome.
You build them up to a place where you can ask that question. You have enough trust in the bank to ask that question, or to bring up that topic in a way that won't scare them away, making them think that you're all about the money. But we also look at roof type. So home ownership, genuine interest, credit worthiness, and their roof type. I think those are the 4 hot button issues that often get us in trouble. If we know those things, then we're easily 2 and 3 times more likely to be successful when we get into it.
Awesome. So first of all, I want to applaud you for even knowing that to this depth. You'd be surprised how many calls we hop on where there's one common trend, and there's another one that you wouldn't believe is common because you're just kind of playing on a different level here. But the number one common trend is everybody wants a more qualified lead. That's the thing we always notice. But whenever we have this conversation, very rarely does somebody have an answer for what that looks like for them. So it's a funny double-edged sword, right? So
I spent 30 years as a computer guru is a good title because I've rarely worked as a computer technician or specialist or software engineer. But I noticed that I have a talent, whether it's innate or developed, I have a talent for diagnostics. And so as I've struggled myself to be successful in my role, I've seen the impact of a lot of other things that have been around me, and now I'm literally building a business of my own, so I have to be plugged in. And I would love to know what I don't know, but I've tried to understand the best I can. Thanks for that compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I think you're just showing off now, just trying to give us all your knowledge.
And that's fine too. So let me ask you this. With that being said, why haven't you taken that extra step to be able to do something on top of what you're doing now to better pre-qualify?
So I'm literally bootstrapping my business, which means I have to earn revenue in order to invest back into my business. And that's been a process because one of the barriers to earning revenue is having well-qualified leads. I'm not a young chicken anymore, so running 80 hours a week out there in the field is exhausting. And when I do it, I'm kind of mono-focused. I can't think of anything else but go to the next customer, sit with that customer, do a great job of making them feel loved, move on to the next customer. That's all I can do.
Okay.
So I can't function in a business capacity and think about marketing and all that such. So I hired a friend of mine that I worked with in the classroom environment, and she is a dynamo. We were working in a call center environment, and I was training people, to better interact with customers and to deal with the business side of things. This woman came on like a freight train, and she was just hungry, and she oozed of capability. And we became fast friends because I found out that I could rely on her. She liked what I did. She trusted me. I trusted her. After 6 years of working together, I went on to do other things, and she, has always got her hand in multiple pies. So I brought her on board because I knew she was the right person, but she didn't have a skill set yet for this. She's excellent on the phone, so she can set appointments and manage a calendar. She's intelligent. But now, just after her first, I think she's in this 4 months now, she's been dedicated full-time. I had to kind of entice her. I gave her a few part-time hours, and gradually she shifted her entire business focus so that she pushed everything else out, and she's just working with me now. And I just gave her the tools that she needed to properly qualify leads as they come in. So we've been generating tons of activity. Jordan, I don't know if you told Rob about this, but let me share a little something. The implication of the name is, hey, we are people who are working in the solar industry. We've been there for years. We've worked with various companies. We want to share our expertise with you so that we can help you go solar in a real significant way. Where we stand apart is that we actually give a damn about people, and we want them to be happy, healthy, excited, have their project be super successful. I know everybody kind of says they want that, but it's bullshit. They're all a bunch of sharks and assholes. And they run around trying to make as much money as they can. without thinking of the collateral damage, or worse, they have bad intentions and they're bragging about how many people they've screwed into paying too much for solar so that they can get rich quick. And as they burn those bridges, they make the entire mission of helping the planet move forward more and more difficult. I have, because I'm not a solar installer, I have partnered with solar installation teams who I believe have a similar mindset. They may not have as pure intentions as I do, but they're good people. And so the solar installer has made some investment in marketing. They're doing the best they can to self-generate leads because it's the most cost-effective way they can do it. I've recently reconnected with a install partner that I'm very keen to work with, because they've managed to streamline their process and maximize profits without burdening the customer. I'm not charging the customer more money. I'm simply getting a larger piece of that sale. And
Okay.
I'm thinking, that would give me more ability to build success. It would give me a lot more resources that I could share with my marketing team, for example. I don't have the ability to hire a marketing person, and I live in an area where I don't think I have the talent I need to do a really effective job. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, as I build the skill set of my team and I get really excellent consultants in the field, I have coordinators in the office, and I have people who are just, snowballing. Everything is snowballing. If your team is as good as I think Jordan is, then what I think is going to happen is you're going to help me meet dozens of new people every month. That's going to turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of additional success, which is going to allow me to continue to grow. And as long as our relationship is fertile, I don't know why I would ever hire a marketing team.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate the honesty, and obviously that information is really helpful. So let me just address the fact that I love that you bootstrapped and you're still bootstrapping coming up. I know Jordan did the same thing when he built his agency. So it's really fun to be able to work with a company that does that, having done that. A little history about me, Mark, and I'm sure that, you've heard of this company before, but before I went into working with Jordan, I worked for the Yellow Pages. I don't know if you're familiar with, or if they still, okay. So I was with them for a few years. Oh, so you've heard of them? Okay. So I was with them for, you used to use them? Nice. Okay.
The analog days anyway, so Yellow Pages.
Yeah. So, and I saw it happen a lot. We work with big and small businesses alike. So to watch somebody bootstrap and then watch them evolve was a really, really fun process. That being said, before I backpedal to go over everything that you just told me and what we covered prior, do you feel like there's anything else missing? Do you feel like there's another gap in there that you're hoping that we could help you with outside of just the quality leads part?
So when we finally when I say we, I've been adopted pretty hard into one of my install partners' businesses, and I do not want to violate his trust in any way.
Okay.
So one of my cardinal rules is if I receive a lead from his marketing dollars, that lead always stays within his circle of control so that I don't take anything away from him. He's sharing revenue with me by saying, hey, you helped me close this deal, here's your sales commission. I got to respect that. However, if I generate something myself with your help, I have no strings attached to that. I can bring it to whoever I feel is the right one. Okay? And if that install partner is the right way to fulfill that deal, then away I go. If I can fulfill it through another partnership that is going to be more lucrative, great. As long as the customer is served, I'm happy. So here's the thing that answers your question, Rob. I've noticed the talent that the local installer was able to attract is pretty darn good for this area. On a global stage, on a statewide stage, they don't hold a candle to what I would expect. On a national stage, they're sorely lacking, and on a global stage, I just don't think they have the talent to do everything that I want to do. Like you, Rob, I've worked for large Fortune 500 and even a couple of Fortune 100 companies. So I've had the opportunity to rub elbows with large company organizations who have exceptional talent. If I thought that I had a place where I could support them, I might try to lure some of the best people I've ever met into my business, but I'm not there yet.
Right.
Or maybe I can help you grow if we get to that place. But I'm looking to you based on Jordan and I's first interaction, and I don't know if he told you, but he kind of goaded me into meeting with him because I was giving him a hard time, feeling like it was unwanted contact, and he just basically, he hooked me by calling me. What's that?
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, but you hooked me by calling my bluff. It was a good move. But it wasn't that I wasn't looking for help. It's just so much noise out there.
Right.
And what I'm hoping to get from your firm is better language, better looking marketing, a more earnest approach, and better quality leads. The better quality leads is the easy one. That's the tangible, hey, I want to go out and action better quality leads. But my business, regardless of how professional or small time my install partner might be, I want my business to appear exceptional. And it costs money to do that, and I'm trying to do the best I can with the resources that I have. And sometimes we just can't afford to look any bigger than we are. And sometimes we can, do things very well. And I'm hoping that you guys have that skill set.
Yeah, so can I address that real quick before I backpedal a little bit?
Please.
So when it comes to that, you're 100% right. You can still bootstrap and still create that image that you're not bootstrapping. And when it comes to get that image, you need brand congruency. So we're not going to talk about that today, but that's a much easier fix than I feel like you might think it is. It just takes a little bit of time, but that's like the easiest thing to fix. So when it comes to a better quality lead, I love everything that you're expecting out of us because it's very realistic. But in the terms of a better quality lead, it's more than just gathering the information. Because what we can do, we're not going to stop at a name, a phone number, and an email, which I appreciate that you understand that it takes more than that, and that the show up rates and everything else. I don't know if you're anything like me, but when I was at the Yellow Pages, and this is why I wanted to bring that example up, they had a fairly similar process. And I feel like all big, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies kind of do, where you'll show up sometimes and they'll say, like, why are you here? Or you'll show up on a phone call appointment and they'll say, well, why am I here? Did you ever get that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's totally normal. And for the bigger companies,
especially with the person that reached out in the first place, when they ask me why I'm there, I want to turn around and say, no reason at all. Thanks for your time. Gotta go.
Mind blown.
You don't.
And you know what was funny is those companies that you and I worked for, when that happened, they used to always preach, take these leads, we paid a lot for these. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And what I can tell you is we're going to take that one step further in the sense of we're going to gather we ask them questions that are going to help you determine a qualified lead. So before, now I'm going to start to backpedal a little bit. So before you ask, you need to know that they own their home, they want to make solar energy, they have a certain credit score, and that they're a certain roof type, right?
Yes.
And that they're able to finance, obviously, with the credit score. So that being said, it's going to sound like common sense, and that's what makes this whole process kind of funny in a sense. But we're going to ask those questions before you get the lead.
Right.
And I know that sounds like common sense and very simple, but a lot of people aren't doing it. And the reasons why they aren't doing it is because your cost per lead goes up. So what happens is, yeah, and I'm glad you understand that, but it's because, go ahead.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to break in, Rob, but customer acquisition is a calculation that says, hey, for every signed contract we have, we had to spend this many dollars grinding through the leads. If we have some automation helping us to grind through the leads, I'm cool with that. My second line of defense is the person I'm paying to sit there and make calls and fill my calendar. My third line of defense is myself. I've got to go out and actually meet with those people and try to suss things out. Mm-hmm. The only danger in this is, and I think I expressed this to Jordan, but in a very passive way, I often meet people who have a lot of more potential than an automated process would allow. So one of the other things that I want to allow for is if they're going through a Q&A process where they're kind of giving us some of these answers to help qualify themselves, I would love to find a way to ask a question that says, if anything in this interview, anything in this questionnaire, anything in this form didn't seem like a good fit, please take a moment and explain why. Because that free-form, open-ended question may determine gold. When I'm feeling skinny, and I haven't felt skinny in years, but when I feel skinny and I haven't got enough work to do, and I go and read those responses just from the raw data coming in, you might find gold. People have the weirdest ideas. Well, I can't do this because my HOA. What? I can't do this because I need a new roof. I can't do this because my husband's hair is brown. What are you talking about? So there's often a lot more going on there, and people will qualify themselves or disqualify themselves, and there's still a lot more we can do to help. But that's just me thinking ahead of myself here.
No, that's awesome. And actually, that's one extra question we will put in there. I'll let you know anytime you do hop on a call to have, and this is, okay, so now I'm going to, once again, backpedal to what we talked about before when I was transitioning from brand congruency and how it's an easy fix to actually generating leads. So here's the thing with generating quality leads or leads in general. So we do take it to the next tier where they are more qualified because we do ask a better set of questions, which is great. But the next step all goes internally, right? So even though we generate that lead, there are certain pieces that are helpful, like what you just said. I'm glad you understand that, an onboarding survey or just a questionnaire starting out, because those market research questions are going to allow you to have better ammunition anytime that we are doing any type of marketing. So that's going to be a huge piece of that. When it comes to actually getting a client, you also brought up cost of acquisition. I'm really glad that you did, because you understand the difference between cost per lead and cost per acquisition, which again, you'd be very surprised, but a lot of people, a lot of business owners don't get that. So what are you, in an ideal world, what are you willing to pay per new customer? Because I know what we're getting in terms of like our cost per lead coming in, but what are you willing to pay per new customer? Because that puts responsibility on both of us, obviously.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's not, if I could pay $3 for cost of acquisition, I'd be happy to do it, but that's not realistic.
Right.
Sometimes lead generation is as cheap as $3, $5, and $8 per lead, but once you churn through those, your cost of acquisition gets up into the $500, $600, $800 range, realistically.
Yep, awesome. Okay.
So actual cost of acquisition ranges from $300 to $1,000, and I would love for that cost of acquisition to be more effective because we have better tools, hence why I'm entertaining a professional marketing organization. If you guys are young, thinking out of the box a little bit, thinking about new ways to do things, you've piloted some techniques. One of the reasons I reached out to Jordan after watching his videos, I saw that you had built a portal for yourself. That gives me a live view of the analytics of what's going on. I said, okay, they've taken the time to develop some software. They're not just cranking through a spreadsheet and manually importing it into my CRM. That maybe there's something here.
And not that you can't if you want to do that. If you have like a drift sequence, you can always import and export leads. So
right.
So absolutely.
Well, it didn't hurt either that Jordan has a sexy UK accent.
That's what got me. So awesome.
It's okay, Rob.
So let's just kind of fast forward then in the terms of what we would need to see in order to justify a partnership, because you already understand that. First of all, I'm just going to let you know right off the bat, you've already seen like what we're doing on the back end in the terms of the overview. I do not want to get lost in the weeds discussing like all the technicalities that go behind us producing this. What I will say in the terms of making your brand look good, we're gonna do enough to make you look good, but our main focus right now is the leads. If we decide to do something more further, we'll do that further. But it's gonna sound crazy again, because I know companies spend, because you work for big companies, but they spend crazy amounts of money on their brand image and brand congruency.
Yeah.
Which is important, but when you bootstrap, it is not.
No, people don't care. They obviously, if they saw my name and saw my logo in 500 places, it would help them recognize me when I walk up. But they're still going to judge whether or not they want to work with me based on their interaction with me.
Right.
What's all important is that I get somebody who's ready to hear me, and I can sit down with them for a significant amount of time, an hour or two, and let them really experience me and me experience them, so that I can really figure out how to help them. I get that. And I also understand that there's a difference between brand management and marketing efforts for, advertising and brand congruency, you keep saying, and I get that. I've tried to think of that from the get-go. I mean, I designed this stupid little logo because I thought it looked a little more artistic than some fancy tech ball thing that you get out of India for, your $50 worth of design fee. And I've tried to keep everything consistent. The image that I use in every tool, the logo that I use in every piece of advertising, I design my own yard signs, banners, logos, pop-ups, flyers, business cards, everything I can. I've tried to keep that look and feel consistent. And that's my skill set. That's all I can do. So if we're going to spend money on that marketing side, I understand that's a separate conversation. What's going to hold me back on this side is I don't have enough money to say to you, hey, listen, we've got $20,000 to work with over the next several months. Let's figure out how we can build my business. Not yet. I sat down with somebody last night, two nights ago, and I said to them, hey, listen, you've got tens of millions of dollars you don't care about. I've got a business I care very much about and a mission that we both care about. Help me out here. Help me grow my business by investing a little bit in my marketing efforts. And I'm hoping that they will fund you so that you can spend a lot more time and a lot more money than I can fund myself. I still don't have any idea. I met with a marketing company out of California a few months ago, and I was intrigued by what they had to say. And I like the fact that they named, we have tiers of service that we can offer you. Here's what's included in those tiers. Here's the prices of those things. I thought, okay, now at least I have a target that I can hit. I don't know typically what you guys do, if it's basically just funding your engine or if there's a set fee, or that's something that we should talk about too.
And we're going to talk about that here at the end. Yeah, we want to make sure that you understand what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just getting to know you. I mean, the whole idea of this call is we do have other options, but based on what we're figuring out here, what is going to be the best fit for you? It's not our job, or it's not my job, to just sell everything we have. The only things that I sell are if you want to buy something at the end, but I can only suggest something that works with where you're currently at.
Right.
So that being said, that's why the brand congruency thing, I just wanted to kind of throw that off the table, because that's not a priority right now as a bootstrap company. When I say brand congruency, just so you know the definition of that, that's more so making sure that your website, your landing pages, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, and possibly your YouTube all looks the same.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I haven't had the ability or time to spend. I really hate social media. I use it because it's fun sometimes, but I hate it, and I don't want to spend hours trying to help all of those pages be up to date and fully fleshed out and looking the same. And if that's something you can do for a reasonable price down the road when it becomes a higher priority, great. Please do it. I don't want to.
Perfect. All right. And that's something we'll talk about then.
I'm trying to generate leads so that I can build revenue, so I can pay you.
Yeah, and okay, so let's talk about that. In the terms of whatever what is your sales cycle from the time that you get a lead that works for you to the time that they actually pay and you close it? So what does that time frame look like?
It varies. Different counties. So our process, here, let me show you this. Let me open up Jones. Can I share my screen with you for a moment?
Yeah, you just click the button at the bottom there, and you'll pick
I'm
the.
very familiar with Zoom.
Oh, okay, great.
I was a classroom trainer for 20 years, so I'm I'm on it.
So how are we doing?
Oh, your presentation is great. There's no concerns there. All right, so you should be looking at my instance of SolarGraph. Yes?
Yes.
So this is a design that I did for a gentleman. I don't know if I've got all the numbers set right, but this is definitely something that I can use as a tool. I use it with my customers all the time. This is my proposal tool that I can sit down and make sense of the solar system for them. And we can go through and say, well, if we place panels this way, we're going to make this amount of energy per year, which is going to add up to this dollar amount. You're currently spending X per month. This is your new obligation per month to your own solar system. And the overall value is less than the overall value of that energy is with the current energy company. I go through that and I wrap up the conversation by saying the following words. Once we kick off your project, that could be signing this document, or it could be signing this document and a lending agreement if they're going for financing. Once we kick off your project, we'll send somebody out within the first week to do a site survey. That person will come with some paperwork to help us acquire a permit with your building department and the paperwork necessary for final connection with the utility to install a net meter. The permitting process is really the sticky. This process varies from 24 hours over the counter to 3 to 4 months of hard work. When that permit is acquired, we're usually an install within 3 to 5 business days from the time that we see that permit coming in, and then we close with the final inspection within 72 hours. Then we're going to ask the utility to come and install their net meter, and that process can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks depending on how rigorous their process is. And then I will come back and help you set up your monitoring, make sure you know how to activate, deactivate your system, and you can see how it's working. And then we can do some more celebrating together and also figure out how we're going to communicate this to your neighbors. I have a whole post-marketing routine that I do. So when you're ready, all you need to do is add your signature and click submit. Your version will have a submit button, and this whole process will take anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 months.
Okay.
I can't get paid until this step is complete, and I usually don't submit an invoice to get paid until this step is complete. So I'm literally looking at 2 to 4 months as my typical life cycle from first meeting to revenue realized.
That's great. Yeah, 6 is usually what we're familiar with hearing, so that's totally normal. Okay, cool. That sounds good. So let's start. I mean, first of all, before we dive into the next piece of this, where we, solidify this partnership, see which option is going to work for you, all that good stuff, that whole shebang. Is there any other question that was important to you in order to justify a relationship with us before I started diving into options?
Well, yeah. I don't have anything that's been weighing on me or burning. I'll tell you, I'm probably going to ask you a number of questions as we start diving into the details.
Sure.
We have, I'm sure Jordan shared this with you, and I'm sure you've heard this dozens of times. We have purchased leads, just straight up buy leads from a lead generation source dozens of times, and it doesn't work. It's a horrible experience. As we figured out how to generate our own leads, we have a fairly good engine that's building quite a few leads for us. And I say us again, it's with a single install partner who's got a marketing budget and spending it. So I'm going to be interested to know what you propose as a process, what you think the time frame is going to be from the point of which you're expecting me to invest revenue in your marketing company and the time when I can expect to start seeing leads rolling in, because I know there's some time involved in designing a campaign and implementing it so that it's producing.
Yeah, so,
then,
okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, so that being said, it just depends on the platform. Now, again, I'm not going to get super lost in the weeds here, but in the way that we're going to start out, and we can always, expand the solutions we offer, but the way we start out, the leads start coming in right away. So it depends on the platforms you use, because, and I'm not going to get too lost in the weeds, but I'll give you an example without getting lost in the weeds. There's something called SEO, which I'm sure that you're more familiar with because that's where this internet thing started. That takes a while. And that's why we don't start with something like that, right? But if you do something more like Google or Facebook, that stuff's more immediate.
Right.
And what's great about it, and you've already seen this based on your response here, but you bought dozens of leads and it didn't work. Okay, what you've come to realize is that when you do your own leads, like you get your own leads, they're direct points of contact. So of course you're gonna have a better outcome.
Yeah. I also hate competing. I hate building in competition with other companies.
Exactly.
And so, excuse me, I have a piece of plum in my teeth. I just saw it. But what I would really get angry about, so I don't know if anybody's ever said this to you before, if they have, bully for them. When I go into a homeowner's home, and I am the first of 3, 4, 5 meetings, I wait patiently to reach back out to that person and find out that they have met a whole host of clowns and they're now anxious to get back to the person they felt the best about, which is me. When I'm the 5th person to come in, I usually see a visible relaxing as they realize finally we have somebody that we feel like we can actually trust that isn't full of shit. So when I would buy a lead from a company who said you're going to be one of 2, and then I find out that there's actually 3 and 4 different companies calling that individual, and I just paid somebody money so that I can then line up and stack behind a row of assholes, I get so frustrated. And I'm like, why the hell did we just pay for that lead?
Right.
You know, it's like, hey, if you're not the first one to phone them, you're jumped. So they do robocalls and they have dedicated full-time assholes who are calling people and setting appointments who sound like idiots. And I'm like, dude, this is just a shit show. If somebody reaches out to me, I want to respond to their inquiry directly. So they're saying, hey, I'm interested in what you have to offer. And I say, here's what I offer. And then if they want to reach out to 10 other companies, that's on them. They brought that pain on themselves. But too often we would call somebody, I would call somebody in a reasonable amount of time, and they were like already beyond not answering their phone because they've just been hammered. That's a terrible experience. I will spend money to avoid that experience.
Well, so that being said, you already noticed this based on your experience in getting on this call with us, but it pays to be able to pre-qualify lead. So if you notice, the first thing I wanted to know when we hopped on this call was if you watched that short video.
Yeah.
Okay, and your reaction to that was everything that we need in a customer, because the same with you, like you don't want to work with a customer that's going to give you a hard time.
Right.
And we found the way to not do that is to pre-qualify people with a series of questions, which is what we're going to do for you, or to do a video like, you know, was prepared for Jordan, which is not what we're going to do for you because it's a totally separate cost. We could probably do that down the road. Yeah, but that's the difference, right? We're not Home Advisor, okay?
Thank heavens, because they're a bunch of fucking ass clowns.
Yeah, we're not going to be that for you.
I was so pissed off. They did a marketing call and said, hey, we want to work with you. We got 45 minutes into a call that I didn't have time for, only to find out that because I wasn't licensed as a solar installer, they couldn't do anything for me. And then proceeded to send me, I had a very lively discussion around that because I thought, you know, my business still has value even though I'm not state licensed. But he just had no flexibility to work around that. And then after weeks of continuing to get automated email inviting me to do stuff directly from the individual that I was speaking with, I finally said, guys, would you please leave me alone? You can't work with me. You've already established this. That experience was very distasteful from one end to the other.
Right.
Sorry.
No.
You just hit on a pain point.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure to bring that up a lot. No, I'm kidding. And I totally get it. Oh my gosh, it's like I've done this before. No, I'm kidding. But no, that's exactly why we do this differently. That's why we do this more extensive pre-qualifying process. We get it, and plus we do it for our own company, right? So that's the thing. We're not just here to sell you something that we aren't familiar with, right? So what we want to do next, Mark, before we take next steps here, is I just want to know before we move forward, what would you need to see as a return in order to justify this partnership?
So
let's just let's just use round numbers so it's just easy for all of us. So let's say you spent 10 grand a month, okay? And what would you need to see as a return from that if you spent 10 grand a month with a company?
I would need to see 10 grand return.
So you would just need to see 100% return? Is that because you understand your lifetime value of your customer? Like why?
No. I think you and I are speaking two different purposes. By the way, I was sharing my screen with you to show you something else about I won't get off in the weeds.
Okay.
So when I think of my return, I think of my cost of acquisition. I don't think of my total revenue. So
Okay.
if you're asking about total revenue, if I spend $10,000 a month, I expect to earn $100,000 a month. That's a 10x return, and that is reasonable expectation for marketing dollars. But if I am seeing that my cost of acquisition, I close 10 deals a month, my cost of acquisition was $1,000 per deal. So I've now spent $10,000 with you, and I got 10 customers, which, that's what it was, is $1,000 each. I can handle that burden. Of course, we want to generate a lot more business than that.
Okay. That's a great answer. So it's really, really refreshing. Let me just add this in there to talk to somebody that understands front end break even points and profiting back end. So super refreshing to hear that. That's perfect. And first of all, yeah, our cost for acquisition, we would want lower than 1,000, but for you to be planning on that, because we always like to obviously use worst case scenario and be able to over deliver on that.
Right.
But yeah, that's because we're used to hearing $1,000 is typically like the cost for acquisition necessary, which is more than fair. So our goal is to be much lower than that. But okay, great. Break even on the front end is perfect. What are the questions you have before we dive into package options for just specifically lead quality and lead generation for that?
You keep asking me for input. It's a dangerous thing.
Well, we're only limited by the questions we can ask, so.
Right. No, I think at this point we need to talk. I have an idea of what we've been doing that's been working, and I would like to see what else we can do.
Perfect. So is there anything that you heard here today that you just absolutely hate and you don't feel like will work for you at all based on our methodology and everything that we discussed? You're smiling at me. You're like, gosh dang it, this guy it's not his first day.
I'm smiling because I haven't heard enough yet to object.
Okay.
Thank you for the praise. You've said several times that I'm in a good mindset and I understand a lot more than some. Thank you for coming to the table. You're welcome. I'm excited to be here. I'm actually excited to work with people that I think might have an idea of what they're doing. For example, I work with a financial planner for future retirement goals and wealth building, who is a former Wall Street analyst, and he was damn good at his job. He got frustrated with the race that he was in, and he retreated to a small town where he could build real relationships. He's wildly successful, and I don't have enough income for me to be an important client of his, but I still enjoy our interactions because he gives me 100% of himself when we're together, and I know that he's a trusted partner who has a lot more talent than I would expect to find in a small town. That's kind of the way I see you guys. I'm looking for people who have, you're young, you're hungry, you've got a lot more talent than I would find in my local area. So I'm super excited about the potential.
Awesome. Well, let me just give you a small bit of what we're going to do without making things confusing. So you already saw the short video. So you saw that we use Facebook ads. You saw in a way we can use Facebook ads. So just to let you know, we're going to start with Facebook ads.
Okay.
Okay. If we notice that we can get a lower cost on Google, then we're going to move to Google. Okay.
I don't understand how Google AdWords has evolved and where it can be applied, where it can live. I don't understand that.
Quite a bit.
I know that Facebook and Google both have been purchasing ad space on their websites so that their ads kind of live beyond their interaction with their sites, but I don't really know what that looks like anymore. I never wanted to be an expert in it, so I never looked any deeper, but I'm glad to hear you say Facebook first and Google if it makes sense.
Yep, and I'm glad you brought that up since you already know a little bit about it. Yes, we are going to be doing that. A lot of companies, like you'll notice if you called other companies, they would refer to that as retargeting or display advertising. So we actually include that in your campaign.
Okay.
So that's not a separate charge. You're going to get that. So if you, for whatever reason, are on like CNN or some other website and you see yourself, that's because it's included in your campaign.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's just to clear that up. Great, so that's what we're gonna do. So we do have a few different package options. So that being said, since you know that worst case scenario, it'll cost $1,000 per customer, we wanna keep that kind of stuff in mind. I know you said you can't start at like $10,000 a month, which is totally fine. Most of our customers don't. We just use that as a round number. So we do have packages though that start at $3,000 a month. Now, for your business, we have these on 12-month contracts simply because it takes 6 months. Well, I know for you said 4, but we're used to hearing 6. So 6, I'm gonna use 6 right now as an example. It typically takes like 6 months in order for you to have a customer turnaround from the time you get a good lead. So realistically, if you're on a 3-month agreement with us, which we can do for you, we would just have to set different expectations, and then we can grow from there if we need to, right? To do some other stuff. But realistically, you're not going to see a return from our campaign for at least 6 to 7 months, because your sales cycle is just longer. I remember back at the Yellow Pages, and I would work with only back then trucking companies for recruiting and attorneys. And I remember the attorneys I work with were specifically higher end personal injury, and it would take them 8 to 12 months to close a case out. So we would have these 2-year agreements for that reason. And they paid out well, obviously, but for you, you're in the same boat. So our 12-month packages are $3,000. Our 8-month packages are $4,000 a month, and then our 3-month packages are $5,000 a month, but we need different expectations. So that would only be a 3-month agreement, but it wouldn't be based on returns. It would be based on a totally separate metric that you and I would have to have a mutually, beneficial agreement on. Something realistic, which usually comes to people in the pipeline with better conversations.
So that all sounds reasonable. More expensive than the California company I was just speaking to, but I have a feeling that your solution is going to be a lot more tailored to what I wanted to do. And how large is your team? First of all, who owns this company?
Jordan. Yeah, Jordan.
I love that. Good. I'm glad you said that. So how many people do you have working with you either on a permanent basis or in a contract relationship basis?
Yeah, so we're an intimate team. We've only got about 7 people in our team. We like to keep it small, keep it intimate, and have the A-star players in there.
Well, if I consider you a part of my team, you've just doubled my team, so that's great.
Cool.
I did math, and I think you and I talked about this too, Jordan. If right now, 10 deals is a pretty darn successful month for me because of the cumbersome process that I have to roll through right now. It's not quick to go and close deals. If I could focus on just run, sit, close, I could do 15, 20, 25, 30 deals a month again. when I had a large organization behind me, I would often close upwards of 15, 20 deals, and that's very fine. You can do that. That's a big amount of success, by the way.
Yeah.
For one individual. I did the math. If I could close 40 deals a month consistently, month over month for the next 20 years, I would still only help 9,600 people. And there are over 10 million rooftops waiting for solar, closer to the number of 14 million rooftops waiting for solar just in the state of Florida. And I have the ability to work in over 20 different states in the United States and Canada and Australia and other parts of the world. So I'm looking at all of this opportunity and I'm thinking, I can't do it alone. I need to have quality install partners by the dozen. I need to have colleagues that I link arm with by the hundreds, if not thousands, to really get this done. And realistically, it won't just be me and my company. It'll be a lot of different entities, but I would love to continue to grow to a place where your business has grown and my business has grown because we've helped one another have a great success. And who knows, if what I think is possible, I won't say it, but yeah, big things. So here's one of my limitations. Without the help of a funding partner, somebody who wants to make an investment in my business, I can't commit to 12 months at $3,000 a month without overextending myself. Because as you said, it's going to take 6 to 8 months for me to start seeing a return on that. And I'm going to reach my limits before I get there, just in what I personally have set aside for my marketing budget, and then what I have at my disposal using credit and so on for myself, to invest that into my business, to stimulate this growth. And yet at the same time, I am very confident that if we go out there and do it right, we're going to see that return, we're going to see that growth. It's going to be nuts. So let me ask you a question that's going to sound a little loaded and fishy. What is my opportunity to jettison from a contract? What would have to occur for me to, everything kosher, everything legal, for me to say, listen guys, I just cannot maintain this. I have to step away. What would that look like?
Yeah, so that's going to be more of a Jordan thing. Just because I'm not, that's not really my I'd probably overstepping boundaries with that. It's probably going to be that thing. What I will say, what I've noticed in the past is that we've done pauses. We don't breach, but we'll do pauses. But again, that's not you guys could figure that out amongst each other.
Yeah, that is actually one of the things that came to my mind is, if I can take a minute to recover and then resume, if we're working well together, I don't want to stop that relationship. I want to build on it, but I may need a little room to breathe as the success starts rolling in. And I'm of course not going to walk away from something that's working. What constitutes not working?
Okay, so a couple things. So right off the bat, the leads aren't coming in. That would constitute as not working. And if you're not having those types of conversations we're looking for, we wouldn't consider that not working. We would want to deep dive those conversations.
Right. We want to tweak till we get it right. I'm not walking away from a bad marketing campaign that's not meeting the. Listen, every different part of Florida is responding to different language and different tactics. So if you throw something out there and it doesn't work, I expect that we're going to need to tweak it and throw it out again, or come up with a different approach. And I'm cool with that. I don't want it to be critical.
Cool, and not just the ads, but a lot of time we just want to look at the internal system too. I know it's not an us thing, that's a you thing, but we want to make sure that those two things are seeing eye to eye.
You have suggestions or you see weaknesses, I'm all about that too.
Cool, because we've seen that happen a lot, where we have a bomb, just killer campaign, but then there's this bomb killer team that we're sending everything to, but things just aren't meeting eye to eye because they're used to a different type of quality rather than the quality we're delivering.
Well, yeah, listen, Rob, one of the reasons why we're here is because I spent 9 months looking for the right partners that were scalable. I've helped my local install team scale to 2 and 3 times what they were capable of doing before I met them. And one of the other partners that I'm interested in working with, the one with higher potential revenues for me, is a national partner who says they're ready for thousands of deals a week. Let's put that to the test. You know, let's go ahead and do that. Let's submit hundreds of deals a month. I'd love to do that.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I just want to set the expectation. I have to be like overly clear. So.
No, I realize, but what I'm trying to communicate is everything that I've purchased and built to date is all about scale.
Cool.
I want to know that right now I could take my team of 6 people and I could hire 60 more and my process wouldn't break. Cool. The weak points, the hourglass, the weak links in my process are all old, analog, slow points in the process. And some of it's external to me that I can't control. You know, the permitting is brutal, the utility is brutal, you know, procurement of equipment can be a challenge sometimes. Those things are outside of my control, but everything in my control, I have set to scale.
Cool.
So if you see something, call it out, please. I want to get it right so that I can hire 20 more people without having to transform everything I'm doing.
Awesome. Okay, easy enough. And if we ever need to talk about more of that, we can do that down the road.
Sure.
So what we'll do then, if that's the case, because it sounds to me like that's going to be the best fit for you, is to just put breaks in between the 12-month. Because is there?
Hopefully, I won't need to. I already have the ability to carry us for 6 months.
Okay.
So if we get to 6 months and we've already started to see some of the fruits, everything's going to work out. Plus, listen, guys, my revenue is not small, so I can carry this. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's more of an intro package, because if you've seen, like, it is very cost effective compared to what you've probably seen in the past, but it's because it's only for one specific thing. It's just for getting these specific leads in right now.
Right.
So we'll talk about the other stuff later.
And I'll be real honest, Jordan, I would like to get to a place where I can hire you. I mean, that would be my goal.
Something we could talk about.
I don't want to trap you or limit you in any way, but I'd like to get to a place where I experience so much damn success that this absorbs all your time and you're building your team to support the ridiculous success that I'm experiencing on my team. And you don't necessarily have to work for me, but I would love to experience so much success with your help that you can't handle any other clients.
Sounds exciting.
It's a bold claim. I love that. So
the local talent that I'm working with, Rob, we went from struggling to get a few deals per month down to getting dozens of deals per month, and his business has exploded. It's starting to reveal the weaknesses of his business, which is why I'm looking to a national partner to fill it in. But even this local guy has expanded into 2 brand new territories in the state and is looking to expand to an entirely new state that he wants me to head up. And that's the local guy. This national partner is already working in 22 states and has plans to dominate all 50 of them, plus Canada, plus Australia, plus Puerto Rico, plus Mexico, plus, you know, what the frick? There's no end of what we can do. And my mission is to have people always say going solar was the best decision I ever made. And working with the solar professionals was just the best experience I've had.
I love
Those
that.
2 things have to be paramount. And then why wouldn't we grow? Everybody's going to be talking about us.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're already talking about me, but I'm playing in a small pool, you know.
All right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let's rock and roll. So what we'll do then for next steps is, so just to make sure, because Jordan takes over all the legal stuff and all that, obviously. Right. I don't mess with that. So did you need the 8 or the 12-month agreement sent over? Let's work with 12. Okay.
Listen, I'm hoping ours is 24, 36 and beyond. Okay. So there's no point in limiting it and saying, well, listen, let me commit to more dollars per month. I'm spending the same money anyway.
Yeah, it is the same. A lot of people don't see it that way, but it is pretty much the same.
How can you not? The only way to get out of it would be do a 3-month, which is the toe in the water approach, to spend $15,000 before I'm even going to see fruit. Why wouldn't I just commit to the $24,000 and go ahead and say we need to see fruit? I mean, we need to take this to its fruition. And if you guys get to a place where things are not working, that's a whole separate conversation. But you would have to be fairly incompetent because the people we have now are clowns, and they're managing to make it work. So come on, you can do this.
Yep. Oh no, we know we can. But no, that's awesome. Again, I appreciate the way that you're seeing this stuff, because you'd be surprised most people don't. That's why we have different options available. So awesome. So what we'll do then, Jordan will handle all that stuff. You'll also have different points of contact moving forward from the team. So Jordan will get you in contact with those after everything is finalized. You'll go through an onboarding process, and then it'll take a couple weeks to get the campaign up. And then within the first few weeks, you'll start seeing these come in. And then we're going to touch base again. So again, you'll be in contact with another point of the team. But after the first month, they're going to reach out to you just to see how things are going.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, it was really nice to get to meet you, Mark. I love talking to someone bootstrapping, because like I said, I met Jordan when he was bootstrapping initially. And it's just cool to watch this stuff evolve. So, but awesome, man. I'll talk to you guys here soon. And if you guys need anything from me, Jordan, let me know. But you'll be put in touch with other points of contact moving forward. So
Sounds good.
cool.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you guys. Bye.
All right, then, Mike. Take care.
Okay. Let's see here. Am I still live? Am I still live here? Okay, I am. Cool. So guys, as you can see, I'm the fucking best in this game. I'm literally the best in this game. So here's the thing. So if you guys have any questions, ask them below. I know a lot of people like get amped up because they're like, oh shit, just closed a $36,000 deal. But at the end of the day, guys, like this is an every fucking day thing for me. It's like fucking, it's butter, right? So if you guys have any questions, ask them below. Now's your time to be able to kind of get a little bit more insight if you want to, whatever you want to ask. But yeah, as you guys just saw, there's another $36,000 close for Jordan. I think I've closed now. In just the last 2 weeks, I've closed over $70,000 for him. He's in my Agency in a Box program. If people don't know, in Agency in a Box, I still take 2 to 4 calls a week. So 4 people in there. It's just what it is, guys. I know a lot of people here saying, yeah, you're the man at this. Like, guys, and you can spread it across the internet. I'm the best at this game. That was a 1-call close for $36,000. And you can see I presented to him to do an 8-month option and a 3-month option, and he asked me for 12. So when you do this thing properly, that's what happens. But it comes down to building the value. Did you guys notice I didn't talk about ads? I told him I'm not going to talk about ads, right? He was qualified through using a process I have inside of my Agency in a Box program where we have pre-qualifying scripts and mini webinars. So he was pre-qualified using those first. And we outsourced to DashClicks. How do we get started? If you guys want to be mentored by me, I put a link above. You can click on that. And then you can book a time to talk to me. If the spots are filled, then you can just keep coming back to it and click that link again. Let me see here. What other questions you guys have for me here? Yeah, like I close your clients. Like I literally close your clients once or twice a week. Not for everyone, but you know, whoever books the appointment on my calendar. What are the questions we have here, guys? Ask the questions below. I mean, I just closed another $36,000 deal. I closed a $32,000 one last week. Like, if you guys have any questions, just now's the time to take advantage of it. There's a few things that you want to cover when you do a call like this. So right off the bat, and I teach this stuff in my Art of Sales program, which is my Ascension program from Agency in a Box. It's my private or my small group mentorship. But you always want to make sure that you figure out from the customer where the conversation is going to go. A lot of people come in with one specific way and they have tunnel vision from how they want to pitch slap a customer. And the thing is, so no, I'm not going to celebrate later, guys. I have other deals to close. I have more product development to do, more team development to do. This is just how I started my day. But the thing is, you want to make sure you figure out from the customer where to take the conversation, and the customer will tell you where they want to go. You need to make sure you understand the customer and you can get them to realize that you are an expert in your space by adding one additional thing on top of what they already know. All right, if you notice, he started talking about Fortune 500 companies. And I said, yeah, have you noticed with those leads that they also said that, why are you here when you showed up? That's something I added on top of that. He knew I'd been there, done that, got the t-shirt, okay? What do you think is the main thing that converts someone from being skeptical to completely sold? It seems like all these guys come in like they end up bowing at your feet, Blake. So here's the thing. I don't believe in sales that make people like bow to your will because you overcome objections. If you notice, I had no objections in this call, okay? It's because of the way I structure my sales calls. All right, and if you want to learn how to do that, you get into the Art of Sales program, my Ascension model. You can book a time above. What happens is, the reason they come in like this is because they've already been pre-qualified through a mini webinar, okay? So they come in here, which is going to be like a 6 to 12 minute video, where they've been pre-qualified with questions, more specifically the mini webinar. When they get on here, I never have to worry about, Jordan, yeah, nice, man. That was awesome. And yeah, I never have to worry about objections, hardly ever, because of the way I address the sales call. So you shouldn't have to worry about overcoming all these objections, because if you're overcoming objections, it's because they don't believe in you already. And if you overcome those objections and sell them, they're going to have major what's called buyer's remorse. And if you don't know how to appropriately use a takeaway close and you've overcome a bunch of objections, that buyer's remorse will turn into a chargeback. Okay? If you know how to use a takeaway close on top of overcoming a bunch of objections, that's when a lot of time that kind of turns into manipulation. So there's like a way that you can do this stuff ethically, but yeah, learning how to communicate at this level will make you very rich, and it will grow your business very fast. So that's a good point here. So if you guys want to, in Agency in a Box, which is my entry-level program, if you guys get in there, you don't have to have me or the team of closers in there close your deals for you. I have sales training in there, like basic sales training, where you could learn how to do this yourself. Okay, I'm gonna get ready to jump off here, so I'll answer a couple more questions if you guys are on. We just closed another, it literally in my underwear closed a $36,000 deal. First thing I did when I woke up. It's a good way to start the day. Let me see here. That's over $70,000 in 2 weeks, guys. You see how easy it is to build $1 million company if you can do this once a week? Right? Because you do this once a week, and now by the end of the year, you have a total contract value accumulation of $1.5 million. So you just have to know how to position the right type of client with the right type of offer using the right type of conversation. Let me see here. Sweet. Okay, cool, guys. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'm going to hop off here. Is there a profit split if you close our clients? That's the thing with Agency in a Box. Yes, if you work with any of the other closers, it is a 50% payout on the first month retainer. So for this example I just closed, Jordan would pay out, it's going to be $1,000 in ad spend and then $2,000 in management fee. So Jordan would pay out $1,000 commission on this deal. You don't pay out recurring revenue in Agency in a Box. It's just 50% of the first month retainer. But awesome, guys. I'm going to jump off here. I appreciate everyone tuning in. These are really fun to do. And remember, on the internet, if you're looking for someone to teach you how to close deals, remember this. I am the only person on the internet that jumps on and live streams them closing high ticket deals. Okay, so when you're wondering to yourself, who do I want to learn sales from? Remember this. I am the only person on the internet that streams themselves live closing high ticket deals. One call closes. So anyway, I'm really excited to have you guys on. I'll see you on the next live stream, which I typically do once a week, except next week's my in-person mastermind in Kansas. All right, I'll catch you guys later.